Walter Reed, where he's receiving treatment for the coronavirus. I'm Natalie Brand with the latest, plus why there are new questions about the timeline of his diagnosis.
So tonight we'll hear from Natalie on the latest about the president's condition, plus the leading candidates for governor in Montana faced off in their first debate of the campaign season earlier today. Our Mike Dennison recaps. And later, sports. You want them, we got them, a whole extra half hour of them. The first weekend edition of Sports Extra is here. We'll be with you until 11 o'clock tonight. We hope you'll stick around. Well, you made it to October. Thanks for spending your first Saturday night of the month with us. I'm Matt Holzaffel. If you live in Judith Basin County, you can expect to see some road and trail closures sometime tomorrow after a wildfire in the Little Bud Mountains today. The Yogo fire has burned about 500 acres, according to the Helena Lewis and Clark National Forest. The cause of the fire is still unknown at this time. It's burning about 1.5 miles south of Yogo Peak and is moving to the south and west. Tonight, the fire has burned all the way to Prospect Ridge. Responding agencies use helicopters and an air tanker to battle the flames. The Judith Basin County Sheriff's Office is issuing pre-evacuation notices to residents in the Middle Fork of the Judith River. We've reached out to Sheriff's Office to clarify what exactly that means. An official with the Helena Lewis and Clark National Forest tells us residents should expect to see some closures. More information on those closures and evacuations will be released tomorrow. President Trump tweeted today that he is feeling well as he undergoes treatment for the coronavirus. The White House doctor issued a statement Saturday night saying President Trump is, quote, not yet out of the woods, but the medical team is cautiously optimistic as the president remains off oxygen at the hospital. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand has more from Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland.
Supporters of President Trump gathered outside Walter Reed, where the president prepared to spend a second night receiving treatment for the coronavirus. From inside the hospital's presidential suite, President Trump tweeted a video message about his health.
I came here, wasn't feeling so well. I feel much better now. We're working hard to get me all the way back. You don't know, over the next period of a few days, I guess that's the real test.
A source familiar with the president's health told reporters Saturday vitals over the last 24 hours were very concerning, and the next 48 hours will be critical in terms of his care, adding, quote, we're still not on a clear path to a full recovery. CBS News has also confirmed the president was administered supplemental oxygen at the White House Friday before he was flown to Walter Reed in the evening. It's not clear if the president was having trouble breathing at that time. And new questions are now emerging about the timeline surrounding the president's diagnosis.
Just 72 hours into the diagnosis now.
In a White House statement issued shortly after, White House physician Dr. Sean Conley said he incorrectly used the term 72 hours and should have said day 3, adding that the president tested positive Thursday night. It's still unclear exactly when the president began displaying symptoms, and Dr. Conley declined to answer a question about when President Trump last tested negative for the virus.
I'm not going to get into all the testing going back, but he...
All right, sorry about that, some technical difficulties. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is also one of 8 people who tested positive and attended last Saturday's White House ceremony for Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett, who have since, as I mentioned, tested positive. For the 3rd time in 4 days, Montana has set a new single-day record for COVID-19 cases in a single day. Since yesterday, 501 new cases reported around the state, many of those coming from Cascade, Flathead, and Gallatin counties. That pushes Montana over 14,000 total cases and 4,400 active. This time last month, we were reporting just over 2,000 active cases and just under 8,000 confirmed. There have been just over 4,000 recoveries since then. Some good news there. Cascade County shows 419 active cases, 860 total. Lewis and Clark County reports 160 active cases and 362 total. There are 4 counties with over 1,000 confirmed cases at this point: Bighorn County, Flathead County, Gallatin County, and Yellowstone County. And this morning, the Pend Oreille County Health Department reported the county's first coronavirus-related death. The health department declined to release further information about the death, including the individual's identity, citing privacy concerns. The Cascade County Detention Center also provided an update this afternoon. They currently have 9 active cases in the county side of the facility, 33 active cases in the state prison, and no positive detention officers. Well, it's October now, but we're still seeing warm weather day after day, and it's looking like tomorrow is going to be fairly windy as well. Grant Garland joins us now to tell us more. Hey, Grant.
Hey, Matt. Good evening, and good evening, everyone. I hope that you're having a fantastic Saturday, and you're exactly right. We are looking at temperatures very warm, and let's go ahead and talk about this, shall we? Outside right now, we are looking at a fire weather warning in advance for us until 9 p.m. tomorrow night, all thanks to the fact that, hey, you know, we've got temperatures that are going to be in the mid 70s to low 80s. We're going to have winds out of the west at 20 to 25 miles an hour with gusts up to 30 to 40 miles an hour, and a relative humidity, well, it's going to be low. So here's the thing. Any fire ignition in low elevation grasslands, that's going to be difficult to contain possibly. And we just need to make sure that we're doing our part to not try and start any fire. Looking outside, though, looks calm, quiet, no problems out there. Temperatures 54 degrees in Great Falls, 48 in Lewistown, 53 in Cutbank, and 56 in Helena. Winds 13 miles an hour in Glasgow, but calm conditions in Jordan, and 5 in Helena, as well as 6 in Cutbank and Havre. And over the last 3 hours, we've been looking at pretty much clear skies, and that will be the continuing trend as we head throughout the night. Temperatures overall 44 degrees in several locations. Matt, back to you.
All right, thanks, Kurt. We'll check back in with you later. Tonight on MTN stations, the leading candidates for governor faced off in their first debate of the campaign season, Democrat Mike Cooney and Republican Greg Gianforte. In the hour-long exchange, just 6 days before ballots are mailed to hundreds of thousands of voters in Montana, the candidates tangled over tax policy, the COVID-19 pandemic, public lands access, and more. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison was there and files this report.
On a day when Montana's COVID-19 cases hit a record high, Republican Greg Gianforte said his priority as governor would be to keep Montanans safe and get them back to work, but that he'd rely more on personal responsibility. Democrat Mike Cooney struck something of a contrast, saying we can't let down our guard on precautions.
We need to remain vigilant. We know that science says that wearing masks, avoiding large crowds, properly handling hygiene is going to be the best weapon. We need to have healthy citizens if we're going to have a healthy economy.
The candidates also struck dramatically different tones on tax policy, with Gianforte saying he'll be looking to cut state taxes.
I think this is a very clear point of distinction between Mike Cooney and myself. If you want higher taxes, vote for Mike Cooney. If you want lower taxes and no sales tax, vote for Greg Gianforte.
Cooney, however, slammed his GOP opponent for supporting a 2017 federal tax cut bill that he called unfair and a boon for the wealthy.
You also went to Congress and you voted for a bill to create a tax loophole for millionaires and billionaires just like you. What did we get in Montana? We got $2 trillion added to the federal deficit that my kids, my grandkids, and perhaps their grandkids are going to have to pay for.
Cooney also launched some now familiar attacks on Gianforte, saying the Republican congressman has tried to tear down Medicaid expansion, supported a sales tax, and sued the state to prevent public access on his Bozeman property. That final salvo prompted this response from Gianforte on public lands access.
That's just shameful. Mike Cooney's trying to mislead you. I explained the situation earlier, but we need to move beyond this because we agree. There's no variance here. We both believe you should have access to public lands, and I'll carry those values to the governor's office.
Gianforte also ticked off a litany of statistics on crime, job losses, and wages, where he said Montana has fell behind under Democratic administrations. But oddly enough, the pair probably spent more time on one subject than any other: bipartisanship, and how they're both a big fan of it.
You ask about how you get this through a Republican legislature, the same way we've gotten things like Medicaid expansion through and infrastructure through. You sit down, you work with people across the party line, as I've always done. You know, talking to people in Montana still counts.
I think when you break bread together, you can find common ground. And I think Montanans share more in common than separates us. I'm going to turn the governor's residence into a house of hospitality to bring people together.
So, in these highly partisan times, are Montana voters yearning for a champion of cooperation? These two candidates apparently think so and made their case in Saturday's debate. but still laid out some big contrast between them. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
And also on the ballot in the governor's race is Libertarian candidate Lyman Bishop of Kalispell. Well, St. Peter's Health in Helena was awarded a $1.2 million grant to implement tele-emergency medical services. Find out where that money went after the break.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Welcome back. The Department of Corrections announced yesterday that Jim Salmonson is the new warden at the Montana State Prison. Salmonson has worked at the state prison for 30 years. He started as a correctional officer at the facility in 1989 and has since worked as the purchasing and supply officer, warehouse manager, associate warden of operations, and deputy warden. He has also served as interim warden twice, once in 2018, and most recently followed the departure of Warden Lynn Geyer. Montana State Prison, located in Deer Lodge, houses about 1,500 felony offenders and employs close to 700 people. St. Peter's Health in Helena was awarded a $1.2 million grant to implement tele-emergency medical services. MTN's Alexia Guayo explains how this technology will be used to improve emergency care.
New service for patients in that they can talk now through this technology to providers through a secure audiovisual connection rather than going in and being physically seen. And that's appropriate sometimes. Sometimes it's not.
John Griffin is explaining the benefits behind tele-emergency medical services. These services include having a reliable visual and audio communication system between the healthcare facility and the first responders on scene. Griffin states this type of communication will improve care to those in rural and local areas and decrease the amount of patients in the emergency room.
The EMS teams will be able to go to somebody's house, and if they say, wow, this is a scenario where, for instance, we need a behavioral health specialist to talk to this patient, then we can virtually or digitally connect to a behavioral health specialist and facilitate a visit that patient needs at that moment, rather than them traveling to the emergency room and waiting in a room that's not the best environment for what their needs are at that moment.
St. Peter's says they already have 10 local and rural first responder partners, like volunteer fire departments, ready to participate in this technology. The Health Resources and Services Administration awarded St. Peter's $300,000 a year for the next 4 years, with the hope of having as many partners on board by the second year. St. Peter's Health will be hiring coordinators and more individuals to help fully implement these new services. In Helena, I'm Alexi Guayo, MTN News.
Now, St. Peter's Health was one of 30 organizations across 23 states to be awarded funding for the Telehealth Network grant. There's a new committee in Cascade County in response to the national civil unrest and calls to defund police. The Cascade County Sheriff's Office has created a use of force committee. It's made up of 3 citizens, members of the Sheriff's Office, and the county attorney. The citizen members serve 1-year terms. Sheriff Jesse Slaughter announced Friday the committee has been meeting once a month since June. At each meeting, the committee members review and discuss all the evidence in all of the Sheriff's Office's use of force incidents since the previous meeting.
We want to come up with a real solution, something that maybe will help alleviate some of the frustration and anger, and most importantly, misunderstanding of use of force issues in law enforcement.
We have a link to the Sheriff's full news conference in this story on our website. In Montana, it's no secret that bears, especially young ones, like to climb. Thanks to donations and volunteer efforts, the Montana Wildlife Center has new bear jungle gyms for their cubs.
The roar of chainsaws and heavy equipment filled the air of Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks Montana Wildlife Center Friday morning as volunteers built new jungle gyms for the bear enclosures. The several-ton, multi-story jungle gyms located next to Montana Wild provide crucial enrichment for the grizzly and black bear cubs in FWP's care.
It's really important for bears in general that they need to have a line of sight and be able to see. So that's why they're so important, and it gives them an opportunity to play, to climb, and it keeps them not only physically healthy, but mentally healthy.
The Wildlife Center sees several orphan bear cubs every year and has seen as many as 25 bears in a single year. The first bear jungle gyms were designed by Robert Pecha and Associates nearly a decade ago. While big timber logs are sturdy, they break down from the elements in time and eventually need to be replaced. Just as bears enjoy to climb, volunteers say they were having a blast building the unique structures.
No, it's been great. You know, it's good to meet these other crews, the construction companies in the area. We have a few other volunteers, but it's fun to work on a project like this. You know, everybody wants to build a tree fort. So, and this is essentially what that is.
Unfortunately, it will never be the same as if they were learning to climb in the wild. However, these jungle gyms do provide the bare necessities. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
All right, thanks, John. And the Montana Outdoor Legacy Foundation and the Foundation for Animals are also working to build new bird enclosures that will help with the education and rehabilitation raptors at the Montana Wildlife Center. More information can be found on our website. We'll be right back.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Grant Garland.
Well, good evening, everyone. I hope that you have had a fantastic start to your weekend. It definitely feels a little bit mild out there. Go ahead and take a look at our iCam over Great Falls. Looks great outside, and it feels, well, mild, 53 degrees with 48% humidity. Thankfully, our visibility is at 10 miles. Now, today we did see a warm day. Our average for this time of year is around 63 degrees here in the Electric City. So, yeah, 75 degrees in Great Falls, 76 in Helena, 69 in Lewistown. You headed on out, though, towards Glasgow and Jordan, looking at the upper 40s for us. So the average, again, 63 degrees, but did you know it can get up to 91 degrees? That happened back in 1943. That was the same year that, hey, you know, a bottle of Coca-Cola costs right around 5 cents. Temperatures right now, 54 degrees in Great Falls, 56 in Helena, 43 in Jordan, 49 in both Havre and in Glasgow. And we are looking at 13-mile-per-hour winds still in Glasgow, 7 miles in Great Falls, 8 in Lewistown, and 6 in both Cut Bank as well as Havre. Now, we have been looking at our air quality going down over the last several days, seeing moderate conditions for many folks in Kalispell, Missoula, Butte, Helena, Bozeman, even Malta, and good conditions, thankfully, in Great Falls as well as Lewistown. We will see our air quality conditions continue to drop as tomorrow we have widespread haze move back in as we head into the afternoon hours. Over the last 3 hours, we've been looking at clear skies for the most part, no problems out there. And that's been allowing us to really see, well, these continued dry and mild conditions. And all thanks to that, to a high pressure that's slowly moving into the area, not moving much, clouds staying well off to the north in Canada. But as we go throughout the day tomorrow, high pressure starts to move out towards the west. And again, very so slightly. And then notice that we have a low pressure and cold front start to move into the area. As that happens, clouds will increase for those in Kalispell and Cut Bank, but we aren't expecting any rain with this system. This will allow throughout the day for not only our wind speeds to continue to really vamp up, but because of that high pressure, we're also going to see our temperatures soar into the upper 70s and lower 80s. And as far as our winds are concerned, it will be a breezy day. We could be looking at easily 30 to 40 mile per hour winds gusting in the afternoon. So definitely want to make sure that you are staying weather aware on that and not lighting anything, because any ignition in the grasslands could really be a problem to control. And that's why we are seeing a red flag warning in effect until 9 p.m. tomorrow due to the conditions that we're looking at. Critical fire weather in and around the Great Falls area, and elevated risk for those in Helena, Bozeman, Glasgow, Havre, and Cut Bank. Now, when's the driest time for us tomorrow? Well, it will be in the afternoon when we see relatively 12% humidity at 4 p.m. For our friends in Helena, we're going to be looking at the driest time for us being right around the 3 o'clock hour at 16%. Tonight, temperatures fall down to 44 degrees in Great Falls, Lewistown, and Helena, 41 in Glasgow. Tomorrow, warming up to 83 in Great Falls, 79 in Lewistown, and 76 in Cut Bank. We are expecting for temperatures to drop down thanks to that cold front on Monday. Temperature 74 degrees, but we will stay breezy for the next several days. Heads up on that. We also, thankfully, are hoping, crossing our fingers, that we see an isolated stray shower next Saturday. Matt, back to you.
All right, check this out. United Way in Helena is collecting items to fill backpacks for the homeless. Items needed include backpacks, shoes, non-perishable foods, and anything else to help the homeless for the incoming winter season.
With the coronavirus, people being out of work, we got a lot of people that are struggling, and unfortunately there's always that need, but it seems like it's even a little worse in a time like this. And so what we're just trying to do is just to make sure that with as harsh as the winters can be in Montana, that their time is a little bit easier to be able to survive through those months.
Collection boxes can be found at Walgreens, CVS, Capital Sports, and the United Way offices on Lindale Avenue. Do you like sports? If you said yes, then I've got some good news. After the break, we've got the latest on National 4-H Week and a feature on the Shelby High School football team and one family tradition. Then after that, stick around because we've got a whole extra half hour of sports coming your way in the very first edition of MTN Weekend Sports Extra. National 4-H Week kicks off next week. The big push is Opportunity for All, a way to show all their projects students can sign up for, from livestock, photography to learning STEM robotics. Normally the event would be in person, but due to the pandemic, parents can get all the information from the comfort of their living room. MTN's Phoenix O'Connor explains.
Starting from the age of 5 as clover buds, young children can get their feet wet in the 4-H program.
At 8 years old, the youth can choose whether they're ready to enter full membership or not. And so full membership is from 8 to 19 years old.
There are 150 projects for students to choose from being a babysitter to science, all of which can be learned about during the National 4-H Week. Parents can expect to pay $10 to join. Once in the program, they will then choose a club where additional membership may be required. Students will then need to buy their own supplies or pay for their livestock, such as a heifer, or having a dog for dog training. But there is help if a family needs it.
You can find sponsorships and we can help with that, or if you don't have the space to raise an animal, we have a lot of people in the community that offer that space. So even if you live in town, there's other people who will offer a space so that you can raise the animal there.
In the second year, there is more scholarship opportunity for students. They can be awarded up to around $300 to help out with their projects. In Helena, I'm Phoenix O'Connor.
We'll be right back.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Temperatures tonight, 44 degrees in Great Falls, as well as Lewistown and Hayes. A little bit cooler in Havre at 39 and looking at 38 in Jordan. Tomorrow, warming up to 83 degrees in Great Falls, 80 in Helena, 75 in Kalispell, and 83 again in Jordan. Over the next couple of days, we will stay breezy. Remember, we are under a fire weather warning tomorrow until 9 p.m. with 40-mile-per-hour winds gusting at any given time. By Monday, mostly sunny, still a little bit breezy, but Tuesday could be looking at 25 to 35 mile-per-hour winds. And we are also looking at the same situations for our friends in Helena, too.
Well, hey, we're not done. We have more great sports content coming your way right after this break. Stay with us.
From MontanaSports.com, this is MTN Sports Extra.
Starting tonight, we're bringing you even more coverage from our MontanaSports.com team with MTN Sports Extra. As part of an extended edition of the MTN 10 o'clock news, where you'll get more of the in-depth coverage you've come to expect from Montana's sports leader. MTN Sports Extra every Saturday and Sunday at 10, starting right now.
The Big Sandy football team pushed their record to 4-0 this week with a big win over Sunburst, and that win is a big deal for the Pioneers as they look to right the wrongs of last season. Big Sandy's dominance last season gave the team high hopes for its first football state championship, but it ended on a sour note with a semifinal loss to Jordan. That ending didn't sit well with players like senior running back Cade Strutz, who cut down on his 40 time and added 35 pounds over the summer to bring himself to 230.
I was in the gym for a majority of the summer, putting in work. I was doing speed workouts with my dad and hitting the weights every morning. So yeah, had that last season in my mind, motivating me, pushing me to go harder, and yeah.
He was already the best running back in the state. Now he's a beast, you know. He was a beast last year, now he's a super beast. I don't know.
Strutz had 237 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns in the 74-34 win over Sunburst, but it took a team effort to overcome the Refiners, who posed Big Sandy's toughest challenge so far this year. The Pioneers led by just 7 at halftime, but they hope the rough second quarter was a result of being rusty.
I think we got complacent with our lead and thought we didn't have to try as hard anymore and gave up a couple big plays and came back and bit us hard.
It was really hard starting out. I mean, we've been 2 weeks, we had a bye, and then we had a game canceled with the whole coronavirus, and it just came out a little rusty.
The coronavirus's dramatic effect on athletic schedules has made Big Sandy's revenge season less than typical. What was already going to be a short season has become even shorter as teams at all levels are forced to cancel games due to close proximity to the virus.
It really sucks. I mean, especially as a senior, I love the sport and want to play it every weekend, obviously, but there's just a bunch of games that, you know, it's coming down and can we play, can we not? It really sucks.
The Pioneers will have one more week of the regular season to fine-tune things before the playoffs. Sunburst Stanley Jarvis put up big numbers against them. From scrimmage, 12 receptions for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns, plus another touchdown and 194 yards on kick returns. If the Sunburst game is evidence, Big Sandy knows they have plenty to work on.
Definitely our pass rush and our, we're letting some guys get behind us on our safeties. They usually don't do that. I guess we just haven't seen a speedy receiver like that yet.
We need to improve on our defense. It was lacking today. We need to work on containing the passing. They got a quick kid, so we need to work on containing faster kids.
The only thing standing in the way of another 6-man North title for Big Sandy is a matchup with Power Dutton Brady next week. In Sunburst, Isaiah Dunk, MTN Sports.
On Friday night, Bozeman dominated CMR 63-19, but the biggest story was the return of Montana State commit Kenneth Iden.
1, 2, 3, let's go! It's like that missing piece of the puzzle. Once that comes back, everything's just there. You get the whole picture, and everything just glows and clicks, and it's just, you know, it's good to have him back. He's a great player. I mean, the kid's a beast.
The atmosphere around the Hawks before kickoff felt electric due to the addition of Iden, who has been out all year due to ankle surgery.
They trust me and I trust them, and I think they were just super excited to see me back out there playing, and I was super excited to be playing for them again. And
the senior captain was elected to represent the Hawks at the coin toss.
And I was excited. You know, I've been wanting to be a senior captain since middle school, watching the Hawks play, and for me to get to do that on my first game back, I was super excited.
Once the coin toss was won, Bozeman head coach Levi Wesche said they had a plan to get Iden out on the field right away.
Having one of your captains back on the field is huge. So, you know, Kenny set the tone. That first play set the tone for the whole game. Like, our kids love that energy. You know, we deferred on purpose because we wanted that opportunity to see what Kenny was going to do for us.
And he didn't let his coach down. On the first play of the game, Iden busted through the line to make the tackle for a loss.
I just thought, I'm going to see how my ankle feels. I'm just going to go, and I just happened to be in the right spot. But coach called a good play. We had slant on, and yeah, it just took me right there, and I just made the play.
Iden seemed to be all over the field to start the game, but the Hawks are going to ease him back in.
He's a difference maker, you know, and eventually as we can continue to work him in, and we'd like to see him playing both ways again, you know, but right now, just what he does for our defense is really important. He had 25 snaps tonight, and every snap he made a huge difference on. So when you have guys like that, you need them on the field, and obviously we're better when he's around. So
the Montana State commit will not be playing both ways for the Hawks until Wesche approves.
As he continues to get closer to full, we'll start using him more. You know, right now my goal is not to play him on any offense till I'm comfortable with where his ankle's at, because I feel like getting tackled, there's a lot of people down around your lower leg.
After rehabbing his ankle for 11 weeks, Iden was just happy to be playing in his first game since he started last year's state championship win.
Felt pretty good, yeah. I was super excited. You know, it's been a couple weeks now, and you know, I was really excited to get back with the guys. And that was my first game since November or something. So it felt really good to get back out there and, you know, make sure, at least make sure for myself that I'm still playing well and I can still do it, and you know, it was super exciting to get back out there.
Lastly, for Bobcat fans, Iden is still pumped about his decision to stay home and play for Montana State University next season.
It's awesome. It's sweet. I love the Cats. Coach Strout's awesome. I just talked to him earlier this week, and he's always been supportive, and it's awesome to know I got them behind me. So.
In Bozeman, John Miller, MTN Sports.
Cover a team long enough, and the last names all start to look familiar. That is the case with the Shelby Coyotes, where several upperclassmen are carrying on family tradition.
Well, I think it starts with the family, and anytime you've got some older brothers that have had success and been through things, there were little brothers watching, and now they're grown up. So, it starts at the breakfast table, as my dad likes to say, and, it's continued with those families that you mentioned, so we're excited.
Watching the Shelby football team gives you a sense of deja vu with names like Torgerson, Reynolds, and Bruisevin dotting the box score. On Friday night, junior linebacker and running back Cameron Bruisevin found the end zone several times.
I don't know, I'm a pretty easygoing guy, but on the field I like to get going, get hard, and, play with intensity, but keep it fun at the same time.
Cameron's a workhorse. He can do a handful of things. He can run the ball. Obviously, he plays that middle linebacker position. He's probably a throwback player. He likes the contact. He runs sideline to sideline, and he does a really good job. We even put him in a little wildcat like we did with his brother. And
Cameron's older brother Wyatt graduated from Shelby in 2018 and is perhaps known best as a clutch kicker, lifting Shelby to several playoff victories in 2017 and now hitting game winners for Rocky. And while the two played similar roles on the field, they're polar opposites off of it.
He's a little bit more reserved. We love playing football, love doing sports. Every day is just a pleasure to be alive, be playing a sport that you love.
They're night and day. They are. Cameron's a pretty good, he's a free spirit, and he likes to have some fun and get after it, and he plays loose. And Wyatt was more reserved, quiet, but they both produce when they step across that line.
Cameron has a good leg, but he says he'd defer to his brother if the game was on the line.
He's more of a kicker. He's more of a kicker than me.
Elsewhere on the field is a guy that's hard to miss. Junior Rhett Reynolds is 6 feet 8 inches and uses his size to make an impact.
Taller than everyone else, I can go get the ball. Just blocking, I have a little bit of leverage. In defense, I got more extension than everyone else. And
everybody looks at him as a basketball player, and obviously he's a good one. But he's a heck of a football player too, and at 6'8", he plays physical. He's got that reach, he's a smart kid, and he's just got a motor that goes and goes, so I'm excited for him.
Rhett follows his brother TJ Reynolds, who was a 4-year starter at Shelby and is now playing college hoops at MSU Northern, but Rhett has always been a little taller.
When I was like 4th grade, I was playing in a basketball tournament, and they checked my birth certificate because they didn't believe it.
The Coyotes lost their opener to Joliet, but have reeled off 4 straight wins to sit atop the sub-conference standings, so don't overlook them come playoff time.
It's a good punch to the face right off the bat, and it really sets you in your place. You come off a little strong, and you just get set back, and I think we're rolling now.
Tom Wiley, MTN Sports.
Hello everybody, Casey Conlon here at Dela Stadium in Billings. We thought Senior West could be the game of the week. 2 3-0 teams in a crosstown rivalry that's really hard to beat anywhere else in Montana. But after the final whistle sounded, all we saw was a dominant West High win in all 3 phases.
The two teams felt each other out early. It was scoreless after the first quarter, but a pair of 4th down conversions were the key in the second. The first was 4th and 11 from Seniors 34, where the Bronx made a big mistake, biting on the flat route and leaving star receiver Taco Dowler wide open for a touchdown.
We have some guys that we can get the ball to, and I trust those guys. And I don't ask them if they want to go for it because they're always going to say yes, but I think you just do the eye test and they're ready to go. So we had a couple 4th down conversions, so it was nice.
The other was a little easier call, 4th and goal from the 3, as junior QB Isaiah Clonch kept it up the middle and bullied his way in for a 17-0 lead at half. But West knew the game was far from over.
I felt like we were reading them kind of well. But we always knew that a good team, they're going to bounce back. They're going to have a good series. And they had 2 good series. They put the pressure back on us.
The first resulted in this Junior Bergen to Jackson Berkeley touchdown. It's one of the deadliest combinations in the state. The second was maybe the play of the year from Bergen. 6 West defenders hit the senior QB, including maybe the best linebacker in the state in Daly. But Bergen somehow escapes it all to go 64 yards down to the 1. He'd finish it off 1 play later.
I've never seen a kid, when he's just about tackled at the 50 and his body's out of whack and it looks like he has a knee, sticking straight up and guys on him. And our best defensive player, Neil, has him in his grasp, and next thing you know, he's down at the 1 yard line. So, I have so much respect for that kid.
That made it 27-14 late in the third, but it was all West from there. Seniors offense never threatened again, thanks to a Bears D that never quit.
It's the most energy I've seen in 2 years here at West. we came out ready to fire, and we played our butts off tonight.
West, meanwhile, kept adding to the lead in the fourth. Junior Caden Dowler took this punt return near midfield and weaved all the way down to the 6 to set up another touchdown. Then it was Michael DeLeon capping it off late, part of a punishing committee with Jamin Medlock that is helping West replace all-time great DeMarcus Carr.
He's obviously one of the best that went through the program at West High, but it's hard to fill the shoes, but we're doing pretty good during the game, and we split ways on offense and defense, so it keeps us fresh throughout the whole game.
Out of respect for the other two, DeMarcus is so amazing. He's so good. But those two, we have a pretty good 1-2 punch. I have no idea what they had for yards tonight, but hopefully they want to carry on, hopefully a running back tradition that we have going on here.
They carried West to 4-0. They don't seem like they're stopping anytime soon. In Billings, Casey Conlon, MTN Sports.
Jake Rendina started his entire sophomore season on Kalispell Glacier's varsity football team. But on Thursday against Missoula Hellgate, the now junior broke out in a huge way with 7 touchdowns against the Knights as the Wolfpack improved to 4-0. Humble in victory and crediting those around him, his head coach says it's been a lot of adjustments for Rendina, but he's earned every accolade that he's gotten to this point. While everyone else tired out, Rendina appeared to hit another gear, and some in-game adjustments earned him high praise from his head coach as he earned those last few touchdowns.
Obviously, he's such a load that you can't take him square. You've got to go down and cut legs. Well, he started to run more patient, and as those DBs were coming up and trying to go low, he was just starting to jump cut them and stiff arm them. I mean, it was a phenomenal in-game adjustment. I know he's going to give his credit to our O-line, which he has to, but in the open field, he was amazing. For a bull like him, being 230 pounds, what he did in the open field tonight was pretty special.
Rendina's performance put him atop the Class AA in rushing touchdowns with 18 through 4 games. He also has 764 rushing yards as well. But Rendina wanted the focus to be on his offensive line, which he says without them, his achievements aren't possible.
I got to give it all to my line. I mean, I've said it again. We may not be the biggest, but we are the toughest. And, it was just we had to back up our defense, They got us out of some tough stuff, so we had to give it back to them. We had to go through some tough stuff too. I don't think we're relying on me as much as you think. We're more relying on our O-line, because they win us the games.
Even Hellgate coach Mick Morris had to tip his cap to the junior.
You know what's going to happen. It's just you just can't stop him. And I would say all great players like him get stronger as the game goes on, right? And so you might be able to stop in the first and second quarter, but every game you watch that kid, he just gets stronger as the game going on. I don't even know how many carries he had, but he's special, obviously.
We just like to tough through. Fourth quarter, we hit the weight room hard, so I think we went in the weight room. We went in the fourth.
Whether it be blocking for quarterback JT Allen or running the ball, Rendina's focus this season is getting the Wolfpack back on track, and they appear well on their way with the 4-0 start.
We had a down year last year, and we just wanted to come back and give it all we got.
The thing about Jake Rendina is he's a true competitor. He's going to play hard every single play, whether he's getting the ball, whether he's having to block, whether he's pass protecting. He's going to go at it with all the ferocity that he has. And at times there were some big plays where he had to lead block for JT, getting some big fourth down conversions, third down conversions down in the red zone, and he'll do it with all his might, man. It doesn't matter what we ask him to do, he's going to do it.
As the Wolfpack aim to stay perfect throughout the season, Rendina figures to be a huge part of those plans. In Missoula, Kyle Hansen, MTN Sports.
Any more motivation entering this season after finishing runner-up in 2019. The Tigers didn't need any reinforcements either, but they got them.
Senior Tate Bowler was an all-conference performer for Belgrade last year, but is earning his stripes as a Tiger.
Better opportunity for me and my family as a whole. Is kind of a family decision, so that was a big part of it. Yeah. Culture is like a huge difference. Like these guys come to work hard every single day. Just like I can tell that bitter taste in their mouth from last year, and it encourages me as well. I know how bad they want it. So
Bowler's emergence as a playmaker on both sides of the ball has given Manhattan another explosive weapon. Along with Bowler, junior Corbin Johnson has stepped up to give the Tigers a potent 1-2 punch on the outside.
Yeah, Tate, he's a great player. He's explosive. He's smart. He's a great kid. He's fit in really well with our team. And like you saw tonight, he made big plays, and that's what he brings to our team, is just an explosive playmaker. Offense is doing a good job of complementing the defense this year. We got some great playmakers. Obviously, our quarterback's doing a great job this year. Couldn't be prouder of Caden, and he's just getting better every week. He sees the field well, and and does a great job of, commanding the offense.
We have so many options. Like, I don't even know where to start. Like a defense, it's tough to guard, and we got a great O-line, great quarterback who can make good decisions. So they can't just focus on one thing. They got to cover every single one. And
Manhattan can punish teams by air or by ground, though. The Tigers feature a bevy of ball carriers and a powerful offensive line that can wear teams down throughout the course of a game.
I think it's just sharing the ball, and nobody ever knows who's going to have a game this week. And we had guys out, but people filled in, and we just had games.
It's nice to be balanced, but yeah, it's nice, to go deep in playoffs, and when the weather gets colder, to have that run game. It's nice to rely on that. And